Good evening. This is the March 22nd, 2023 meeting of the Waste River Cooperative School Board. Nobody is more surprised than me that I am here, but apparently snow days affect elections and school boards as well as schools and teachers and students and staff. So here we are. The first item tonight is the approval of the agenda. I would like to add a special announcement after the approval of the minutes. So
I'll make that motion.
motion from Denise. A second from Matt. All those in favor of the agenda? 6 in favor and the student rep in favor. The agenda is approved. So next up will be public comment. Is there anybody who'd like to speak for public comment this evening?
Hi, I'm Chris Hawley.
And I'm Lainey Pavlik, and we're representing the Oyster River High School First Robotics Program. So we are a team of maybe 30 high schoolers, and we started our team about 3 years ago, and we're just really focused on building robot, promoting engineering in young people. We do electrical engineering stuff with programming and coding, and then mechanical engineering and building. So we do some really cool stuff. Robots that we build are 120 pound. We use professional equipment. It's a lot of fun. It's super cool. It's a great way to promote engineering, and it's free to all high school students. So yeah, we have a lot of fun. And then we actually have a competition that's coming up this weekend.
Yeah, so each season we get 2 qualifying competitions, and this year one of them happens to be at the Whittemore Center over in UNH. So it's free admission. Anyone can just come and check it out if you want to see robots running around playing the game. Each year they make a new game, so all the robots, you have to make it over the course of about 3 months, and all the robots compete, and you can come and just watch. It's really cool if you have like kids who are interested in STEM, or you just want to check it out, what it's like. You can just come in, watch it. It's free. We really like to see you guys there. It'll be cool.
When is the competition?
It's this weekend, both days. Yeah.
And guys, would you write your name on the placard right there in front of you? It's kind of sticking up.
Oh,
There you go. Yeah, we want to make sure we get your names spelled correctly for the minutes.
Oh, yeah.
What time does it start?
It starts pretty early in the morning, and it goes pretty much all day. Yeah, I think it starts at 9 is the first match. It just keeps going until the afternoon.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And good luck this weekend. Anybody else for public comment? All right. We will move then to the approval of the minutes. We have regular and 3 sets of non-public minutes from March 1st. Denise?
Make a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of March 1st.
Motion from Denise. Second from Heather. Are there changes or corrections, additions for the regular minutes? None? All those in favor of the regular minutes from March 1st? 5 in favor, the student rep in favor, opposed, abstentions. So Dan Klein abstained. All right, and then we have non-public. Denise?
I'll motion that we accept the non-public meeting minutes for March 1st for, let's see, which ones? I'll motion as a block, all 3 of them.
Okay. We have a motion from Denise, second from Heather. Is there any discussion, additions, corrections to these? All right. All those in favor of the non-public minutes from March 1st? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 in favor, opposed, and the student rep in favor, and abstentions. We have 2 abstentions. Brian and Dan. All right. Now we would like to make a special announcement. Matt, would you turn the mic on at the podium, please?
So good evening, everyone. The person approaching the podium is the president of NASBRO, the New Hampshire Association of Chief Operating Officers. Nate is representing the organization tonight to present a special recognition.
Thank you very much. Good evening, folks. Again, my name is Nathan Lunny. I am the president of the New Hampshire Association of School Business Officials. It's my pleasure to join you here tonight to offer a very special recognition. New Hampshire ASBO, as we refer to it, is a professional association of school business administrators and leaders, both on the job and aspiring to it. Our commitment is to provide meaningful professional development to school business people across the state, to connect our members in sharing knowledge and strength of action, and to stand as a resource to education leaders and legislators statewide. The association recognizes individuals and once an organization, in fact, for remarkable contributions to our association, to our profession, to the communities that we serve and the state that we love, and to the students who are the center of our work. And we offer this recognition in a Distinguished Service Award. Alexander J. Blastos, Al, to those who knew him, was 20 years an educator, a math and science teacher, a principal, assistant superintendent, and superintendent. He loved the work of education and supporting education. In 1985, he embarked on a new endeavor as an administrator with the New Hampshire Department of Education, a role from which he was able to serve schools and educators for another 20-plus years. And as that service slowed, Al committed his time and energy to a new passion. He volunteered as a part-time director for our organization. I forgot to mention, Al was married to a longtime school business administrator. Al's kindness, his commitment, his patience, and his energy were all incredible contributions to our organization. And just as he had served the community of education statewide for over 40 years, so he gave of himself to us and our association. As a result, New Hampshire ASBO dedicated our Distinguished Service Award in his name. Tonight, I'm here to present that award to Sue Caswell. I know that Sue shuns the limelight, so if you would entertain me, I would love it if everyone in the room would stand and join me as I read what is a meaningful proclamation of recognition. Whereas Sue Caswell, New Hampshire Certified School Business Administrator, having served the association with distinction as a member of the Executive Committee in the elected positions of Secretary, Vice President, President, and past President, and having served in many volunteer committee positions over the years, and having been selected for special recognition by the members of the Executive Committee for her many years of dedicated service to the association, and whereas Sue Caswell is commended for her work having served the Oyster River Cooperative School District for over a decade with distinction, as stated by Superintendent Dr. James Morse, Sue's work with me on budget development was a true partnership. I would lay out the goals and concepts I was trying to achieve, and she would lay out the most cost-effective and efficient path to meet those goals. She understood the entire business and finance operation existed to maximize student learning by ensuring that students were the center of our decision-making. And whereas Susan Caswell is commended for her work structuring the insightful financing for the construction of the new Oyster River Middle School, in the words of Dr. James Morse, Sue was instrumental in recommending a unique taxpayer-sensitive approach to garner voter approval. As we approached the project, Sue recommended strategies that resulted in the bond for the new middle school having little effect on the operating budget. A tour of this new facility was a highlight of the New Hampshire ASBO Association's year-end membership meeting in June of '22, arranged and hosted by Sue. And whereas Susan Caswell is commended for her many contributions to the school business profession, Sue, in her quiet, supportive way, has served as a powerful example and mentor, especially to the growth of women serving in leadership positions in New Hampshire's public schools. Now, therefore, the New Hampshire Association of School Business Officials proudly honors Sue Caswell with the 2023 Alexander J. Blastos Distinguished Service Award on behalf of the association and school children throughout the state of New Hampshire, presented this day, March 22nd, 2023, before the Oyster River Cooperative School Board. Let me say two more things. Sue, thank you. Thank you for your service, for your commitment, and for everything for decades you have done for our association, for our profession, for our communities and state, and for the students who are the center of our work. I want you all to know that Sue will be celebrated again on the 14th of April at the annual meeting of our association, and she will be celebrated again on June 3rd at the New Hampshire Excellence in Education Awards banquet, where she, along with several hundred other educators, will gather, and she will receive her bell of educational excellence and be invited to ring in and celebrate that accomplishment and her recognition, that again on the 3rd of June. I hope some of you might be able to join us in those celebrations, and I appreciate you taking the time tonight for us to recognize Sue. Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us this evening to present that award, and congratulations. Very well deserved, Sue. All right. Next up is, yeah.
Sue, Sue, please don't be mad at me for keeping this a secret from you for the last month, okay? I know you've seen me about 100 times, but I was sworn to secrecy on this, so.
All right. Announcements, commendations, and comments from the district.
Good evening, Misty Lowe from Massway School. I feel like it's been a while since I've seen you, so I have about 6 announcements I'd love to share with you for a variety of things that have been happening at Massway School. First, I wanted to update the board that we are at about 50 students currently registered for kindergarten. I know it's early, but I thought I would just give an update on those numbers. We have had Read Across America Week and a big PTO Scholastic Book Fair since I've seen you. Massway has a large tradition of Read Across America Week. Every day is a theme. The lunch menu is a theme. Lots of costumes, full school assembly. It's just a lot of thematic fun around reading, a lot of guest visitors, UNH soccer team members, a variety of district employees come to Massway to read with kids, bus drivers. It's a fun celebration, and that's happened since I've seen you. We have had WMUR at Massway School. I think you saw a clip about that, which was really fun, and our students in 3rd grade have been visiting the middle school to work on their weather unit with the green room, which is really fun. Every 3rd grade classroom has taken a different turn to come to the middle school. It's another great way for them to see their future middle school as well, use the green room, use the technology, and that's been a great experience. I wanted to be sure the community knows that the 2nd Open Circle parent program is well underway. I believe they're 3 weeks in. It's Tuesday nights at Mohammed School. So if you are out there and interested, I believe there will be more Open Circle parent program nights coming. So please feel free to reach out to the school psychologist at Massway School, Felicia Sperry. I also wanted to give public thank you to Susan Leifer. She's our digital learning specialist. Susan works tirelessly and is currently working with a variety of after-school programs to provide STEM activities to our students. The current program she's running is a robotics program for 1st graders, and we have high schoolers coming to Massway School from the Code Runners program or club that come to help Susan with these 1st graders. If you have an opportunity to come to Massway to see, it's really quite incredible, the robots and the Lego kits and all the fun things that they do. So that's a really great after-school opportunity that she provides at the elementary level. Last but not least, I just wanted to share about an energy project that's happening at Massway School. It's a collaboration between our math science specialist, our librarian, our tech integrator, and of course our classroom teachers, and they all work together over, it's about a month-wide project. We're actually working with Jen Brown to be able to bring you a presentation so you can see what all is involved in that energy unit. It's also very STEM involved as well, Lego kits and things like that. A big project on renewable energy, and it's just exciting to see the kids' enthusiasm when they're learning about those things. And I think that's it. Any questions for me? Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Misty.
you, Misty.
Good evening. David Goldsmith, Mohammed. I'll also give you a K registration number update. We are at 43 at Mohammed, which is in line with where we've been the past few years at this time of the year, give or take 5 students in either direction. So that's going well. We had a lot of interest in the very beginning of the registration process, and now we just sit back and wait for families who realize they need to register. Please do if you're out there, or families who move in between now and September. So we'll keep you updated on that. We've had, I'm also going to talk about after-school activities because right now at Mohammed, 2, 3, 4, 5, there are over 5 different organizations that we're proud to invite into the building to host after-school activities. Girls on the Run is working there, One World Language is working there, Durham Park and Rec and Seven Rivers Paddling host a number of activities throughout the whole week that students from Mastway, the middle school, and Mohammed take part in. Quest Martial Arts is back after a number of years away. We've had an incredible number of successful Destination Imagination groups. Those are all run by parents, and they had competitions on Saturday. Many of them were exceptionally fueled because of the pancake breakfast, and then they went off and did incredible at their competitions. We have our 3rd grade DI team actually going to states Saturday, which is unusual for a group that young, which is a really exciting thing. So we have just a lot of opportunities after school that we're proud to host at Mohammed. And then, of course, I want to let you know about the pancake breakfast, which was back after, since 2019. We had 3 absent years. The sad 3 years at Mohammed with our syrup. And we were really excited to have the pancake breakfast back. We had well over 1,200 people come on Saturday. We had a middle school band. We had Irish step dancers. We had singers. We had a lot of community groups set up in the hallway. We had a lot of student work examples out in the hallways to show how classes from kindergarten through 4th grade are integrating maple sugaring into their learning. And of course, the Sugar Shack was going at full boil. We were able to boil about 5.5, 6 gallons of syrup just during the pancake breakfast, which is a huge amount for those hours. And we had a huge number of volunteers from the high school, National Honor Society, from UNH, from parents, from, of course, staff. I just can't say enough. The nutrition department here in the district, Jim Davis, of course, who runs our Sugar Shack, all of the teachers in the building. It was really a great day and a great culmination of a really historic and important program at our school. So it was pretty awesome. Questions, comments? Okay. Oh, I will just say we sold out on all of our syrup, but we are still boiling. So we'll have some more, and we'll let everybody know when it's around because it's delicious. Thanks.
Thank you, David.
Mm-hmm.
Good evening, everyone. Jay Richard, principal at the middle school. I do want to announce next week our spring sports starts, and we've come a long way. When you think about it, we have this beautiful field out front, so our coaches are really excited about that. Previously, as you, of course, would recall, we had no fields due to the construction, so the kids are very excited about that. Again, that starts next week. We have 4 sports. We have our track team. That's grades 5 through 8. We have a lacrosse team, a softball team, and a baseball team. So we're starting to see baseballs, softballs, and lacrosse sticks at recess, so the kids are really excited about those upcoming opportunities. I've also started preparation for our annual Washington, D.C. trip, which is over April break. We have over 130 students participating in that this year, which is the largest group we've ever had. So we're looking forward to that. As they talked a little bit about the high school robotics program, we actually have our robotics coaches working here right now tonight on some things, but we have 5 teams going to the World Championship. That's at the end of April in Dallas, Texas, and we have 22 students participating in that opportunity. So that's something to look forward to, and the kids are really excited about that. And I also want to mention Sarah O'Brien, our sustainability person at the middle school, has been working tirelessly on our composting here at the middle school. And just this week, we actually, thanks to our facilities people, we have compost bins up in all the team areas right now. The kids been working very hard at that. And last but not least, it's years going by really quick. The end of the quarter is coming up in early April, so it's been really fast. Thank you. Any questions? Thank you.
Good evening, Rebecca Noe, principal at the high school. First, I want to congratulate Kathy Stetson and Alexander Taylor and the entire cast and crew of Beauty and the Beast. I hope you got to go see it, but it was amazing. It was absolutely spectacular, and the talent on that stage, I was just completely impressed. So I definitely want to mention all the hard work and the hours that they put in. It was absolutely beautiful. We had the SATs and the PSATs today. I wanted to thank Shannon Karen. She led that entire organizing process. Also Celeste Best, who helped with all of the technology, and Dan Chick, who helped with all the accommodations. It went very smoothly, so everything went really well for all of the test takers. I appreciate the students who took it very seriously, and the staff who took the time they had to do a lot of training to be proctors and the time that they put into it. So it went really well, so that was a very good thing. But for our freshmen today, we actually had a lot of activities, which they loved. It actually went extremely well. We had the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard come in. They had 12 stations set up, and the students went by advisory, and we had 3 different groups doing 3 activities at the same time throughout the building. And so they would travel around to the different activities, spend about 8 minutes at each one. There were STEM activities, and so the kids really loved it. The adults really loved it. So actually, we're talking to the shipyard now about possibly next year flip-flopping years and maybe taking the kids there, the 9th graders next year there, or they could come back. So that was really enjoyable. We had EPW, which is our PE department. They had an activity that the kids did in team building and advisories, a little activity and a little active for the day. And then we also had Breathe New Hampshire come in and give a presentation about vaping and the dangers of vaping, and what the health part of that and what that can do for your body, and giving them a lot of information as they're growing up and making choices about their health. So overall, a very successful day. We had Barrington Course Night last night, the course request night, and so we were able to welcome about 39 of our 46 families that are going to be coming in next year. And so they came in, our counselors gave a brief presentation about what it's going to be like as a 9th grader, some of those requirements. They did a wonderful job. The kids went upstairs, and we were able to have them request the courses that they want next year. We also had teachers that were representing each department there in the cafeteria, so if parents had questions, they could go and talk about what the kids would be doing next year, what the curriculum was. We had some of the extracurriculars set up, like art was there to just talk about the different art classes there were. So that was overall a success also, and we were able to get most of our students registered or request courses for next year. Tomorrow we have the Shakespeare and Company performing Romeo and Juliet for all of our freshmen. All of our essentials classes will be watching that, or viewing that. It's the first time we've been able to bring that back since COVID, and so I know the entire English department is really excited that we were able to bring that back into the building. Tona Brown is coming, but Paige is going to talk about and give more details about that in her presentation, and that's for Thursday and Friday. I did want parents to be aware, we've had many snow days this year. Out of the 5 snow days, 4 of them fell on blue days, and our other remote day and our delay fell on blue days. So Monday, which was originally a white day, is going to be a blue day to help teachers make up some of that curriculum time that they had. So students know that, they've been told that, teachers know that, but I wanted parents to be aware of that also. So that will also be in the newsletter. So. On April 6th, the middle school has Chris Herron coming, and we have the opportunity to have our sophomores actually go and see him speak. And so he's speaking about prevention, substance abuse and prevention. And so that is in the newsletter for this week. There is an opt-out that parents can use if they want their student to stay at the high school, but the sophomore class is invited to come here to the middle school to listen to Chris Herron's presentation. Quarter 3 ends in 2.5 weeks. That seems really quick, but on April 7th, quarter 3 is closed. And report cards will come out on April 17th. And it seems really early, but it's not for prom. So prom is going to be May 25th, and tickets will go on sale April 10th through the 21st. And so I know there are girls already out there buying their dresses and making plans, so tickets will be on sale in just under a month. So, any questions for me? Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Others from the district? Announcements, accommodations, and comments from the board? Denise?
I just want to echo the amazing events that have been taking place in these last several weeks. And I got to see the play and maple sugaring and lots of different things. It's been wonderful. Two that I want to mention in particular, because one of them, it's not too late. That's the Discover the Possibilities Scholastic Art Award entries are on display at the Durham Public Library through, I've been told, the end of March. So I would say, probably through most of next week anyway. Amazing artwork, and some were award winners, and others are just on display. They're all really, really impressive. And then the second event that I wanted to mention was the Mental Health Matters presentation that was hosted by the Oyster River High School Student Senate. It was just incredible. The panelists did a fantastic job. The students did an incredible job. In particular, shout out to the student moderator, Delaney Netto, who just did a great job of leading, asking the questions and kind of leading the panel through the discussion.
So I want to echo, and Denise does as well, because we talked about this on Monday. We want to echo what Noe said about Beauty and the Beast. It was absolutely fantastic. The students did an absolutely amazing job, and they should be incredibly proud of the production. As David said, the pancake breakfast was great. It was super phenomenal. I was super excited to get back there and see all the familiar faces and rebuilding the community that way, and it was just terrific. Though I didn't get to stay long because we had to jet out for Destination Imagination. Moharriman had 4 teams competing, and the middle school had 1 team competing. Both third grade teams qualified and are going to states, and the middle school team also qualified and are going to states this weekend. So it's very exciting for everyone. And then lastly, I do want to thank Suzanne Tomaszewski, for inviting me to read during Read Across America Week at Mastway. I got to read 2 books to some kindergartners, and a great time was had by all, at least I think so. And then, as we were talking about first, a little birdie told me that for the first competition, Saturday at the WIT from 11 to 7 and Sunday from 9:30 to 4 are the public viewing hours. If you have a sensory sensitive kiddo, ear muffs or I keep saying earplugs, but like the earmuffs aren't a bad idea, because it can get a little loud during the games for the robots. So it might be a good idea to bring those. And I don't know if they'll do it this year, but in the past they've also let people go down into the pit area in between matches, and you'll put on safety glasses and you get to walk around and talk to a whole bunch of different robot teams. And it's a really great experience. The matches are fun to watch. Getting to see all the different teams are fun, and the teams usually have some sort of swag that they like to pass out. So be prepared to bring trinkets home as well. And that's it for me.
Others? All right. We will move on then to district reports. First up, Assistant Superintendent.
Good evening. Before I ask Shannon, Karen, and Stephanie Kading to come forward for their presentation about high school transition from 8th grade to 9th grade, I just have a few announcements to make. First, April 13th, if people can put a hold on their calendar, we are planning a community dinner. From the Sustainability Committee is working to plan a community dinner with the theme of Earth Day, and more information will be coming out about that. Very excited to announce that REACH camp for the summertime is almost full. So if you are interested, there are some openings in some of the camps, depending on the weeks. So if you have a camp that you're interested in, some of them run for 3 weeks. For instance, the robotics camp runs for middle school age students, runs for 3 weeks, and one of the weeks there's openings. So if you don't find that there's an opening in 1 week, I would continue to look at the other weeks that the camps are running. It starts July 10th and goes to August 4th. It will be at the middle school this year. along with ESY, credit recovery, and other programs. We will be having all of them here at the middle school. We're very fortunate to have climate-controlled environment to have all of these activities occurring. And I just want to thank Rachel Gazowski and Kelly DeSimone for their help with getting camp going and working really flawlessly with Oyster River and Durham Parks and Rec. We've done a wonderful job collaborating this year. We're very excited. The sustainability teacher coordinators are going to be working with, which are Rachel Allen, Sarah O'Brien, and John Bromley. They are going to be going into each building and presenting and discussing with faculty about the sustainability efforts in the district and how faculty feel engaged or don't feel engaged with some of these efforts and gain some feedback from them. So we're excited about that. That will be happening in April. And lastly, I just wanted to let you all know that we are starting our summer planning for professional development opportunities for faculty. And we are fortunate enough to be working with other school districts throughout the state and the New Hampshire Learning Initiative to bring OGAP training to New Hampshire schools. And OGAP training is evidence-based training that enhances curriculum that's already in place. So it's not a curriculum, but it works with teachers on instruction and instructional practices and assessment practices, really with grades 3 through 8. And they'll be doing a variety of trainings throughout the state. They'll be going to different school districts, and Oyster River will be one of the sites, and we'll be hosting the training on fractions. So we look forward to that, and that will be happening in July. Does anyone have any questions? Great, so I would like to invite Shannon and Stephanie to come forward. Yeah, Heather.
I have a question first. Do we have a timeline for determining the schedule for the ESY?
As far as what weeks?
I've heard ruminations it's going to be shorter, like it's usually 4 weeks, but it might be 3 weeks. Do we know when we might make a decision on that?
So I will leave that to Catherine to answer, but it's going to match REACH, so it's going to be 4 weeks, but instead of being 3 days a week, it's going to be 4 days a week. And those dates will match. But Catherine can talk more. Yep, she's giving me the thumbs up, so we're good. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Stephanie Caden, and I'm the 8th grade school counselor here at Oyster River Middle School.
I'm Shannon Karen, Director of Counseling at the high school. Nice to be with you again tonight. Thanks for having us.
So tonight we're here to talk about the high school transition process for our 8th graders into their freshman year of high school. So the presentation today, you will see a variety of information. We will just ask that you hold all questions for the end. But today we're going to be talking about how the transition process is a multi-year extensive process. It begins in 8th grade, but that definitely continues throughout students' freshman year. We are going to be explaining different aspects of the transition, and throughout the presentation today, you will be seeing some student input from current high school students about how the transition went for them, not only academically, but socially, environmentally, and then some feedback about the grading system transition as well. So going into the academic transition, one thing that the middle school counselors have really discussed a lot this year was how can we incorporate more education on career exploration and getting students to start thinking about post-secondary options. So when me and Shannon were collaborating, talking about the transitional process, this was an opportunity, I thought for our department, specifically for me, the 8th grade counselor, to create a social emotional learning lesson that gets students thinking in this mindset. So I created a 2-part lesson during this time frame where students were evaluating their values, their interests, exploring post-secondary options, and starting to think about what career path they would want to be on. And this definitely aligned with registration for courses, as students need to start thinking about, do they want to be on a 4-year college track? And if so, there are certain classes like world language, for example, that students would need to register for. Our math department and our world language department really went in depth with students about the different courses that they can take. They talked about the different experiences. Like I know an example for math, they went over the 4-year math experience, how students kind of have some more wiggle room as they get older. Students were really excited to hear that baking, for example, could be part of that 4-year math experience. And students also had the opportunity to collaborate with their instructor with their instructor, specifically in math, about what course recommendation they felt best suited them and what their teacher also agreed with and kind of directed them towards. The ORHS counseling department did a fantastic presentation to both 8th grade teams where they went over the courses, the registration process. Students got to meet with their new counselor in a small group where they had a question and answer session, which I know students really found valuable to kind of connect with them. And students also got to log on to their PowerSchool account, see how the registration process actually works, and ask questions in that moment to gain help and support. New this year, me and Shannon decided it would be a really great idea to have students have yet another opportunity to meet with their new high school counselor for a one-on-one appointment. So we had the whole entire 8th grade for one day have about a 5 or so minute appointment with their new high school counselor. They got to meet with them face-to-face again to build connections, build relationships right off the bat, and they were able to ask any questions they had and just confirm their courses. So I think it really made our students, our 8th graders, feel really more comfortable with the process. And I think it helped a lot of the back and forth that sometimes does occur with the course registration process. And then lastly, we had our 8th grade parent night that the high school department again hosted, which went over a lot of the same information, and parents had the opportunity to ask a lot of the important questions that were weighing on their minds. So some really awesome advice that I love to read from our current high school students. You can see it on your screen. But they did recommend taking your time while picking your classes. I love the second quote where a student recommended using Flex in study hall and how that's really helpful to complete work and projects and getting help from your teachers. So overall, the academic transition we thought went very well for kids.
For the social and environmental transitions, we were very mindful of the fact that high school is a different environment than the middle school. And in some of that student input that we did seek out, a lot of students often, and probably any district you go to, will say the best part about high school is all the freedom you get. But with that freedom comes responsibility, comes that independence, comes with you're not just in a small pod all day with the same teachers and kind of just moseying around the same area of your school. When you get to the high school, your classes are by department all throughout the building. And so we were really trying to let the students have that awareness and start to kind of soak that in. With that academic transition piece, we were talking about those elements and continuing to expose students to that information and then helping them hopefully, to lessen some of that anxiety about coming to the school, what that bigger building might look like, and then also that responsibility that we want to prepare them for, that they will be in classes that could be mixed grade level. They're going to get to know students in other grades. They're going to have classes all over the building, and they're going to be responsible for getting themselves to those classes. And so, in addition, they're going to know people outside of their grade, outside of their town, because we're also talking about bringing in Barrington students too, and just really building our school community. And so the more time that we were spending with them, we wanted them to know their resources and wanted them to just develop a comfort. And also that awareness that things are going to be different, but there are people who will help you transition there. Coming up, we will have a step-up day at the end of the year in June, and that will be for all of our incoming 9th graders. So again, all of the students from Oyster River Middle School, and then combined with the Barrington 8th graders who are coming in so that they can come acclimate to the building, find their way around a bit, but we're doing this multiple times. In the summer, in August, the high school counseling department will offer a Counseling 101 summer programming, and they have that divided into 2 parts. One is academic, so again, it's reiterating some of the messaging and information that the students have already heard about how the schedule works and about how grading works and PowerSchool and using Schoology and Flex Time and other resources. But there's also an SEL component to that as well. And it's about time management, and it's about self-care, and it's about finding balance and getting involved and how to get involved. What are the clubs and activities? What are the athletic events? Why is that important? And really helping them to understand that by getting involved and kind of becoming that full student, that we're recognizing that it's the whole child that we are educating and encouraging them to build that social experience as well through all those activities, that the academics fall into place, that they feel connected to the school, they know who their people are, and they're building their community of support. So continuing to encourage students for that, but also giving them resources about homework tips and time management, study skills, planning, organizing. We have freshman orientation, which is after the school year starts, and that is a presentation that involves talking about advisory and the importance of flex and the vision of the graduate. So why is high school important, and where do we hope that they go by the time that they graduate? Again, stressing the importance of getting involved and just reiterating constant, positive, supportive, encouraging messaging about academics and SEL, and how this is a different environment. And while that can seem scary at first, here are all the non-scary faces that are going to help you and support you through the 4-year journey that you are on. We do have a 9th grade parent night in August where we invite our 9th grade parents in to hear the messaging that the students are getting as well, so that we can build that school community partnership. We really want to build those family connections, and so that the parents know what messaging the students are getting and can reiterate that at home, but also that the parents then build the connection with us and hopefully feel comfortable to reach out directly to us as well for anything. And even if that is just a heads up about their own child of something that the school could know about to help support students. Also early on in the fall, we do have 9th graders go to the Brown Center at the UNH campus for team building activities, and they do that by advisory. So we really spend a lot of time at the start of the year building our community, goal setting, and just acclimating 9th graders to the high school environment. So for student input, playing sports, joining clubs is helpful to meeting new people in different grades. And so what we're hearing from that student input that we saw is they're getting the messaging and they are finding that helpful and they are passing that information down. The question that was asked was really a general open-ended, when you were in 8th grade, what do you wish that somebody had told you? And those were the responses, those quotes that you see in our presentation is what our 9th and grade students want to make sure that our incoming 9th graders know.
So the grading transition was something that, again, Shannon and I collaborated on with our administrators in our building and also Suzanne. And we had a lot of discussion about how can we make our 8th graders feel more prepared entering into high school. So we developed, Shannon and I, a special lesson that we taught during the flex period here at the middle school, where both teams had the opportunity to discuss what do grades give us, what information do they tell us about our performance, and discussing how the grading scale at the high school with the 100-point scale looks different than what students experience here with the competency-based grading system. Students, again, had the opportunity to dive in and have a question and answer session. We felt like that went really productively. Shannon was able to field a lot of those questions that students had about the high school experience. And we really try to reiterate that the conversation does not just end here in 8th grade. Those conversations continue throughout their freshman year. They have a lot of support in their advisories, learning about the new grading system. They also have an ample amount of flex time where students can connect with teachers if they have any questions about the new grading system, things they can do to kind of help improve their grade, or just how to navigate the high school grading experience in general. New this year, besides the lesson that we did, Shannon developed a really great survey that she'll be going over a little bit more specifically with you all. That's where we're getting the quotes from today. And I think that we just learned a lot of information about the high schoolers and what they kind of feel they experienced in regards to the transition for the grading system. This quote really resonated with us, that it was for students fairly easy to adjust to, and that it's not as scary as it sounds, which I think I definitely am hearing, kind of getting into the springtime with our 8th graders. I'm hearing a lot of anxiety, a lot of angst about the upcoming transition, and I think hearing this feedback from the current freshman and sophomore class can really help provide can help them make them feel a little bit more comfortable and stable about the upcoming transition. One thing that we have been discussing new for possibly next year is doing just more communication potentially with parents about the grading system transition. But we feel like this year we definitely tackled, I think, a good amount. There's always room to grow and room to learn, but we really tried to make sure that our 8th graders did feel a little bit more prepared with that.
So the student input that we want to share, we just, like I said, asked for input about how students felt about their transition to the high school and what would they recommend for us to share with current 8th graders who are going through that process now. 212 students responded to those questions about their transition to high school. 98 of them were freshmen and 114 were sophomores. 74% of the respondents had attended Oyster River Middle School in 8th grade. The other 26 attended either Barrington Middle School or other schools and had transferred in when they were, attended a different school in 8th grade. 84% of the respondents remembered hearing about high school grading and recognizing that it would be different in some way. 58% of the respondents remembered hearing about the grading system even after they started high school. So again, that multi-year transition, it's not a one and done lesson, it's not a one and done just information email. We really are trying to help students transition and to talk to them and explain the expectations for them. What we learned from that input, students are transitioning well. Now, certainly, we were asking questions of teenagers, and some of the questions were, fine, I'm fine. So, but they are transitioning well. 83% of the respondents said that the transition to the 100-point scale was easy or extremely easy for them, and 95% of the students say that they understand it well at the time of those questions. What we're assuming is that the grading lesson went so well at the middle school that we had done is that we would like to explore the possibility of presenting that to the Barrington 8th graders too, and just to continue just that outreach and early on making that part of the Barrington transition process. This timeline is pretty much a summary. It kind of just lists out all of the things that we've already talked about the events, but you can see how they had stretched out. Stephanie and I started meeting and planning things in the fall. We started in October to get things going for those January dates. And so that's when so in January was then the rollout of those lessons, of those conversations, of those meetings, of the visits from the high school counselors, the parent nights, the course request appointments, and just constantly exposing 8th graders to us high school staffers. And then more to come is what I had mentioned about the step-up day, the counseling programmings, orientation, and then there will be continued class meetings all throughout their 4 years of high school. So they'll see a lot of us. Final thoughts. As we were preparing this, we just said, the students said it best. And so we're going to leave you with that final thought from a 10th grade student who really wanted to just share to our incoming 9th graders, don't be afraid. Be excited and don't allow the work and stress to overload the fun things that also come with high school, like sporting events and other activities. Enjoy all of it, go to everything, and don't be scared to put yourself out there. We couldn't have said it better. Any questions? Yeah.
Thank you for that presentation. I'm curious about the number of 9th graders who end up wanting to change classes after the start of the school year, if you have any information on that.
I don't have specific numbers here. That's certainly something that we can pull and prepare for a later time. We do have an add drop window, and so there is that flexibility, and it's not just for 9th graders to be able to change their schedules, and part of that is that we don't want students to feel locked in. We really want them to feel like their educational experience is theirs, and so if they go to a class and they feel like maybe this wasn't what I thought I was signing up for, then we do allow a little bit of that time for them to then go and change their schedules to try something different. Certainly we put out information through our program of studies. We had an electives fair at the high school for current high schoolers, so our 8th graders didn't see that, but at the parent nights, they were able to ask questions. And so, but there's only so much information a student can gather from that, and then when you go to that class on that first day, it might just be something that's a little bit different. But certainly we can pull data if that's something you're interested in.
The middle school counselors rotate with their classes every year. So next year it won't be you doing it, it'll be the next person. So are we struggling with continuity and you know, like Shannon is having the same conversations every year with different people until we get through everyone? Or is there an easier way to sort of smooth that so it's not sort of doubling up of work for everyone until we sort of get because every year it'll be different, and then 4 years from now it'll be different than when you do it, and is there a way to sort of smooth that out because of the rotation of the middle school counselors?
Yeah, that's a good point. So next year I will be going down to 5th grade. So I will not be the 8th grade counselor next year. But Shannon, this is her first year here. So I think that we have been able to create a lot of new things this year. And so I think that's part of our process, is figuring out how we can pass this information down to the 7th grade counselor as she moves up to 8th grade. We do collaborate very often. We have weekly team meetings. A lot of our meetings are about this time of year, the transitional process, just getting the other grades up and then welcoming our new 5th graders and 8th graders off to the high school. But that is a very valid point that we're gonna have to continue to explore. So how to make these things more solid and have a solid transitional plan, which I think that we really got to start to formulate this year with this outline. And so I think we have notes, I have documents that we're definitely gonna pass on, and I know Shannon's really phenomenal at collaborating, and I've really enjoyed working with her. So I know that she'll do the same for Sarah Gom, who'll be the 8th grade counselor next year.
And I will stay the constant each year working through the 8th grade transition process, and the 8th grade teachers will also, for the most part, stay constant as well. So it will be that constant partnership. And anytime that I was down meeting, my actual very first meeting about 8th grade transition was meeting with Rihanna Cody, who was the 8th grade counselor last year, because I wanted to know what has already been done. What is the experience that Oyster River is already used to? And then Stephanie and I talked about how can we enhance that? How can we grow that and build it off of a foundation that's already there and already pretty solid. But I also have experience in other districts doing some of these things. So what I really appreciated was the partnership with Stephanie to really throw in some more. I wanted to be down here as much as possible, and that was welcomed with open arms. I thank Jay Richard too for welcoming us in and giving us that time to be here and to just really partner. So that will stay a constant. And anytime I was down here, the other counselors knew exactly what I was here for and what we were doing. So I think there will be some of that consistency too, just because of the continued communication.
I think the transition to high school is scary because it's a mystery, because it's unknown. I think you've built a great plan to take the mystery out of it and to answer unknown questions. And I think it's a really good plan. I like that you're going down to the 5th grade, because I wonder if we can have a version of this plan, it doesn't have to be so complicated, for the 4th graders coming into 5th grade to help take the mystery out of that transition also. But this is amazing, and I think you guys have done a really great job, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I'm excited about the upcoming 5th grade transition as well, to jump into that. So it's exciting. This is only my 2nd year here as well, so I feel like I'm learning as I go, and it's been very helpful to collaborate with a lot of professionals in the building and the space to kind of really learn this process, and like Shannon said, build and add some different things from our previous experiences. So thank you. Yeah.
When you came and worked with the flex periods in 8th grade, what kind of questions did you get?
Oh, so many. We had to cut them off. It was a lot of questions, but it was so phenomenal. They had a lot of questions, again, about the grading system. I think a lot of questions were focused on specific courses and how that worked. They were really interested in like the electives and the choice that you get with high school.
They were blown away by the amount of flex.
Yes, they
too,
were.
And the opportunities to get extra help during the day and to see teachers, but then also what enrichment opportunities could happen during flex. So the change in schedule. Definitely the independence and freedom questions. the different classes that they would be, where are their classes going to be? Can they kind of go explore the building? They're ready to be unleashed up there. It was wonderful, the dialogue.
Yeah, there was a lot of excitement during that flex lesson, and then also when the high school department came down, you could tell students were very engaged, very excited. And like I said, we had ample questions, and it was just a really great dialogue that occurred.
Do you ever include students as part of the, high school students as part of the exposure for the 8th graders?
So we talked about that. We wanted to have some freshmen come down and talk to the students. And with the scheduling, we weren't able to make it work this year, but I think that would be definitely something to pursue in the future, because we did think that would be really beneficial to hear directly from them.
I think we ended up with a snow day or a remote day once or twice when I had blocked off time to try to go and recruit students. First, I was going to start in study hall to try not to pull students from their time. So there just wasn't enough time to then get the parent permission for me to take a student out. But it's definitely something we'd like to do for next year.
And then you talked about a lot of different dimensions of the transition. What areas are you most concerned about, or where do we have the most work to do still?
I think, I'm not sure that it's really concerns as much as wanting to continue that messaging and finding out from the current 8th graders, now that they've been through 3 months of listening to us, what other questions do they continue to have? And we did ask, the teachers helped prepare students to come up with questions before we came to present to them. But now that they've been through it, I wonder what other questions they might still have that I would welcome an opportunity to come back and answer those. And we just keep exposing, just really to just lessen whatever anxiety that we can. So I'm not really concerned unless there's any students who aren't speaking up about what their concerns are.
Yeah. Was there a what do you wish you knew question in the survey you gave to the 9th and 10th graders?
Well, those were what the quotes were pulled from. Yes.
What did you wish you knew?
Yeah, what do you wish you had been told when you were in 8th grade? And so it was about that. They were pretty positive, unless it was, nothing, I'm fine. But I don't think there was anything really negative.
No, I'm just thinking of your question and what I would want to make sure happens with the transitional process. And I think from the mental health standpoint as a counselor, I really want to make sure that the counseling department is well aware of the students that I'm sending up. They know their caseload very, very well. And so those conversations will happen this spring. And I know I'm gonna do my best to make sure that they have a good overencompassing view of all these humans that are coming up, so they have a successful 4-year experience at high school.
What about 9th grade teachers? Did they have specific things that they wanted to make sure in terms of when you went down and talked to the students about, preparation for high school, anything in particular that they wanted to make sure that you covered?
That is one area that we didn't cover, but definitely can look into incorporating that for next year. That's a good point.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Just before you guys leave, a little bit later in the agenda, we're going to be saying goodbye to many of your colleagues. And every year we end up attracting in Oyster River some really outstanding people to fill those spots. I think tonight is a demonstration of outstanding new people coming into the district and sharing their enthusiasm and expertise. So I didn't want you to leave before I said that. Thank you very much. This was amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you for the invite.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. Superintendent's report.
Thank you, Michael. I know we all hate this, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to repeat some of what Heather and Denise said. Beauty and the Beast was totally amazing. In the fall, we were entertained by our high school students with Clue. I went home that night and rented the movie because I wanted to see what the kids did that was different than the movie. I did the same thing on Beauty and the Beast. I went home that night, stayed up until about midnight because I wanted to see the Disney live version of Beauty and the Beast. I have to say that high school kids bring an energy and excitement in this particular play, innovation that did not show up with all the billions of dollars that Disney has to throw at their live action films. The cup dance in particular, I thought I laughed from beginning to end. It was so amazing, so athletic, so organized. So when we see things like a high school musical or a high school play and we think, oh, that's just a bunch of high school kids, it was way beyond what you would expect. So I did want to mention that again. I also didn't, the recognition of Sue tonight is so well deserved, and she's been an absolute ally and confidant and friend and business manager through all of these 11 years we've worked together. And so I wanted just to say that out loud, and I know we'll have more opportunity to do that later. I did want to remind everybody, this is one of the very first times in the district's history where we're bringing in a renowned artist from outside of the district. And Friday night's concert with Tona is going to be something that the kids will remember for a lifetime. I expect that this room will be full of people who love music, and our kids are participating with a master musician, somebody who's done presentations at the White House and Carnegie Hall, and someone we should all be excited about coming into the district. We did partner with UNH, and Tone is going to carry her work over to the university on Saturday. But I would encourage anybody who loves music to come to the concert Friday night. It will be something to remember for a lifetime. I did want to take the time tonight, and I know I set aside about a little bit of time for us to do this. What I said when Stephanie and Shannon were up here is absolutely true. We have many, many people who are retiring, some through the incentive, and some have decided to retire in addition to the incentive. So the list is longer than what you saw when we did the incentive. Just people who have dedicated their life to providing quality education and mentorship to the children of Oyster River, who spent decades serving the children and being amazing human beings and role models for our students. And quite frankly, it's what makes Oyster River a special place. And we are fortunate in tight hiring times to be able to hire people like Shannon and Stephanie, and we'll continue to attract great people to the district because of the reputation of our current staff, the reputation of this body being supportive of education, and the reputation that our families spread throughout the extended families that they are related to. So we are blessed as an organization, as a school system. Currently, right now, as an example, we have 10 applications for the food service director position. We have 13 applications for the HR position. So, we have been and continue to be the system that people see as the destination public school system in our area. So as we turn to say goodbye to the people who have served us for so well, for so long, hundreds of years, when you tally it all up, I just want to make sure that we know that the reputation that exists today was built by these people who are leaving. So I will turn over the recognition to all of you. I know that many of you will have things that you want to share. So.
Would you like to go through the list of names, or would
I can do that? Yeah. So, leaving us, and these are people from all quarters of the district. We're losing Dennis Furland to retirement. Dennis has worked tirelessly at pretty much all the buildings, and the condition of the buildings, the dedication of the custodians to keeping our buildings beautiful. Deborah Hastings is a long-term art teacher at Massway, has built a phenomenal program, and it will be sad to see her go. Kevin Massey has worked, again, in many of the buildings and has been a great asset to the district as a custodian. Catherine Moore is the most senior nurse in the district, and we will miss her. Suzanne Tomaszewski, I just tripped over it too, Heather, has been librarian in the district for a bit, and she has done a great job over at Massway. We're losing our speech language pathologist in Robin Sapil, and we're losing our grade 1 teacher from Mohammed, Christina Dalcino, both of whom will be hard to replace, and I know David will work very, very hard to do so. At the middle school, we're losing our special education teacher, Catherine Dawson, our STEM teacher, Al Lofgren. Al is literally in his 70s, could not have more energy in his 70s and more dedication to the children. Just an outstanding human being as well as educator. We're losing David Montgomery, a long time social studies teacher at the middle school. And we continue into the high school. We're losing Dave Hawley, who has really been a person with a big reputation with the kids. We're losing our phys ed teacher, EPW teacher, Don Maynard. Don has served in many roles in the district. He was at one point the athletic director, and so he will be missed. We're losing Mark Milliken, who probably is claimed to fame as the person who knows all of the children's names at the high school and fist bumps them on a regular basis. Big personality to replace. We're losing Kathy Stetson. Kathy was the brains behind Beauty and the Beast, but she's also been our technology person, our business person, our computer person. She will be very difficult to replace. And then district-wide, we're losing Daryl Breton. And Daryl has been the person that kept things working. He's the man behind keeping broken things fixed when they break. Great person. We're losing Teresa Pryor. Teresa has worked all the time I've been in the district as the HR coordinator. Absolute gem, and I will miss her dearly. We're going to lose Bruce Stalker as the IT specialist. He largely represents technology at the high school. He's Mr. High School Technology, so he'll be a hard person to see go. And of course, Sue Caswell, who will leave with a piece of my heart. And then our school nutrition director, who brought a food service program from blasé to excellent, from deficit to profit. So those are the people who are leaving, Michael, and I turn it over to the group.
All right, so I wrote it down because I wanted to say a few words about Christine Dalcino, and then I kept writing, so it's a little bit more than a few. So we have amazing faculty and staff within this district, but Christina has always stood out for me in terms of her contributions to the school and the district and the hundreds of learners she's inspired. I know what Christina has meant to me and my family, but I started poking around and asking others and found out some really interesting tidbits. Christina started her career as a PE teacher in Exeter. She went back to school to earn her master's in SPED and later went on to earn her classroom teaching endorsement. She started at Oyster River at Mastway before transferring to Mohammed, where she's been a first grade teacher for quote unquote a while. Somewhere in there, she was a local preschool teacher, and some folks might remember her from that role as well. So tonight, I'd like to recognize Christina for her professional accomplishments as well as her service to the district and the community. I remember when my daughter was moving into first grade, when you're new and you don't really know the lay of the land at the school, you start asking around, hey, is that teacher good? And the response I got universally was, yes, she's amazing, you're gonna love her, your kid is gonna love her, wait till you see the bird projects. And she's 100% lived up to that billing. Since then, I've been the one neighbors and friends have come to and asked, hey, my kiddo's had a rough year in kindergarten, I'm worried about first grade, is that good? And my response has always been, yes, she's amazing, you're gonna love her, your kid is gonna love her, wait till you see the bird projects. And so far, she hasn't proved me wrong. So Christina is an amazing teacher. As you ask around to parents, they'll all give you slightly different aspects that were important to their kids. For me and my kids, it was that she runs a discovery-based classroom that focuses on the natural world. The kids get out of the classroom regularly to go exploring through the woods. They work on citizen science, and they do amazing research projects. There are several throughout the year, including chick hatching and engineering walls with different materials. My son and I are currently arguing over the fate of a diorama that he made a year and a half ago during their hibernation unit. While I feel having a year of prominence for over a year in our dining room is adequate for his raccoon, which is a torpor sleeper, by the way, he adamantly disagrees. Their capstone project is the famed bird project, and I brought my kids 2 birds in case anyone has never seen them. Every student chooses a bird to research, writes up a report, builds a model of their bird, and then they have a classroom exhibition of everyone's birds. And it's amazing. And everyone who has participated has loved it. Beyond that, Christina is one of the first role models children have of a woman in science, the effect of which is immeasurable. That level of early modeling is so very important. Her focus on the natural world has lifelong implications. I've heard repeatedly about kids and families that are still bird watchers a year later because of the Bird Project, and my family is included in that count. Other things I've heard from parents included keeping their child engaged by going above and beyond to tailor activities to keep their students challenged in class. Christina is also incredibly good at seeing a child who needs extra support when they're close to their limit and helping pull them back and redirecting, which helps them be successful. Parents note the tremendous growth in their children, both academically and social emotionally throughout the year. Students have ownership and are proud of their work, thus why parents can't throw it away, and they have ownership of their learning. But the most common theme I've heard is how important Christina was to their child at that time in their child's life and how much of an impact she had on them as they moved past first grade. The other aspect I wanted to highlight is Christina's commitment to service and volunteerism. It's typical for her to be the last person at Mohammed on any given day. Her fingerprints are all over some of the most important aspects of Mohammed's identity. As a parent, she helped build the Sugar Shack. She helped organize and run the first Mohammed pancake breakfast, and she was there last Saturday volunteering. On school breaks, you'll find her out in the Mohammed woods collecting sap for the school. I found her hauling wood for the pumpkin straw bonfire after school and asked her if she wanted help. No, I got it. She has been integral to the success of the annual Year of themes that are at Mohammed through her work on the Curriculum Enrichment Committee. In the summer, my kids love going up and chatting with her while she volunteers at the Durham Swap Shop. She has served on innumerable committees and worked on projects as both parent and staff member. She was a founding member of the District Sustainability Committee. And these are just the things I know about. I'm sure there are more. And she does it all quietly, working diligently behind the scenes. She's not one for much fuss, so I guess she's hating this right about now. So when I saw her name on the list of retirees, I was really glad for her and all the adventures that she's going to undertake, but I was also a little heartbroken for us. So I wanted to take this time to thank her publicly for all of the wonderful and amazing ways she's helped our children and our community grow and thrive, and just for once, make a super big deal out of her because she's more than earned it.
Very good. Others?
Mine is short and sweet. I didn't write them. They're great. It's funny because the longer we go, the fewer teachers who are still in the schools who had my son, who graduated quite a few years ago now. Want to make a special shout out to Dave Hawley, Don Maynard, Al Lofgren, all of whom my son had and are incredible teachers. But particularly, I wanted to thank Robin Scipio and Kathy Dawson, who both were such incredible, patient and positive teachers and helpers, supporters for my son during his school years.
Thank you. All right. Yeah, oh yeah, Paige.
Yeah, I had
Mr. Lofgren for Tech Ed, and I'm actually amazed to hear that this is his last year. I'm really glad to hear that lots of more students have had the experience of his class, because it was actually really daunting to have such a different class with woodworking and all of those dangerous tools and things, but he made everyone feel really comfortable, and I felt very confident right away in that class, and he made everyone laugh every day, and he just made it feel like a very safe environment. So that was just always a really great experience in his class. I also had Mr. Hawley freshman year for World Cultures, and he has a way of connecting with each individual student in a very special way. And I only had him once, that one class, and then we went remote for 2 years. And he still, sees me in the hallway and says, "Hey, what's that Page kid doing?" So he makes everyone laugh every day. Mr. Maynard, I never actually had for EPW, but I always have known him as just a really friendly personality that a lot of students can connect with. And he actually went out of his way this year to write our basketball team a scouting report for our playoff game. He watched an entire online filmed Hollis Brookline game and then gave us a write-up to read on the bus before that game. So that really stood out to me. That was really nice of him. And then Mr. Milliken, I see every day. He always gives us a different dad joke. They're all horrible, but they brighten our day. And, he's, of course, going to be missed. And, yeah, so I just wanted to say how thankful I am to have met all of those people.
What a tremendous group. Thank you for recognizing them tonight. Congratulations and thank you to all of our retirees.
My final thought, Michael, tonight related to the retirees is we often hear the expression that their replacements are going to have big shoes to fill. I would like to change that expression to their replacements will come in with new shoes and they'll walk their own path. Then finally, for tonight, under the superintendent's report, we did get our first annual report on the solar array, and I'd invite Sue up to the podium to walk us through that.
Did you know that was going to happen? You did, huh? It's not
Did
fair.
I?
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Of course you did, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, so I reached out to Revision and asked them for information on the solar panel and its production, and they created this report. It's been a year that lists basically all of the day. It comes from, and actually I wanted to know how this all matched up with, we actually get billed every month for the production that we're paying for. It comes from that big board out there. It's called Power Dash. And Josh and I were just talking about how we're going to, on our new website, have that information so people can access it on the website. So every day, and I should have thought to bring that up and show you, but every day it tells you how much power the solar array produces. And on a sunny day, you can see that the graph is really high, and on a cloudy day, it's really low. The result of that is in this report. And I also had a Zoom call with Revision, and I'm not sure I understand it all yet, but I'm getting there, on how it all works with Eversource. Eversource does not see the total production of that solar array. We get billed for what the solar array doesn't provide for the school. So in other words, our bill is just a reflection of what we need to fuel this building without the solar array. And then we get a credit on the bill for what gets sold back to the grid. That's the amount that we get charged from the solar company at half of what we're actually paying Eversource right now. The big thing that wasn't in our favor is that if you're aware with your own bill, the rate for Eversource is pretty high right now. It has been. On all of our other buildings, we have a different rate because I negotiated that a while ago, and it's like a third of what we're paying. But if you want to get credit for the solar array, you have to stay with Eversource and pay the higher rate. So that's kind of the downside of it. So knowing that now, what we need to do is we need to negotiate a separate rate when the production of that solar array is low, so we don't lose too much on the credit side. So does that make sense to you? So we get credited for what that array produces. If it doesn't produce a lot, then it's not a big deal to us. So during those months, probably October to March, we should get a rate that's like another, like you can do that residentially, you can go out and get a better rate from a different power source. We should do that from October to March on this building to save some money. So those are the things I know. The other thing I am going to do, and I've actually, Revision's going to help me with that, is start a spreadsheet that will show all of that information on a monthly basis. So you can compare it and you can actually see it, and you can go to our website on a dashboard and see all of that. That's what I know so far about the solar array. I know, Michael, you asked about net zero and how that all matches up. Haven't gotten to that yet, but I can tell you that in terms of natural gas, we've used very little natural gas for this building. We haven't had to. Questions?
Yeah.
Comments?
So this is great. Thank you for sharing this. If I understand what you said about the annual cycle of production and the billing process, you're saying that it would be best if we were using Eversource for generation during the summer months.
Yes.
When the solar array is producing a lot.
Correct.
And use an alternative source for the winter months when the solar array does not meet the building's energy needs. Okay.
And actually trying that right now. I got another vendor to give us a 3-month rate.
Mm-hmm.
His predictions will save $15,000 by doing that. So I'll see how that plays out. But
yeah. Great.
So.
And the overall energy consumption analysis comes from the architect, or who does that net zero analysis on this building?
Yeah, I think it was all part of the LEED certification too, right? Correct?
Yeah. It was the architect and Revision working the numbers through and making the projections, and you can see that they were pretty accurate in terms of what would be produced. And then it's monitored by the LEED group, so we have to document the energy use in the building in order to finally get the gold standard.
And actually...
and that's an independent audit, by the way.
Right, and then actually Eversource has a piece of that too, because we'll receive a credit if we reach that soon. We should receive another
So
big...
it's like $130,000.
Yeah, it's a big chunk for, incentive from Eversource. So.
As I said to Sue, Eversource giveth and then they taketh away.
Yes. True.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
That's the end of my report, Michael.
All right. So no business administrator report separate from that, I assume. Paige?
Yeah, so I'll go into a little bit more depth on the Senate-hosted mental health forum. That was a really amazing and impactful experience for everyone that was there. We had 2 high school student panelists. We had a high school teacher, we had a middle school counselor, and our high school head of counseling, our SRO, and then also a local mental health specialist there to talk about their own personal and professional experiences related to a wide range of matters surrounding mental health. One student specifically focused on eating disorders. We had some people with their close experiences with suicide and substance abuse. And I just wanted to say that they all did a really great job sharing really vulnerable parts of themselves that we probably wouldn't see otherwise, and also just destigmatizing the whole conversation. So that was hopefully a first of a series of events that the Student Senate wants to have surrounding mental health. So I just wanted to thank everyone that was involved in that. And then I also want to congratulate our winter sports teams for making it far in the playoffs. Our girls hockey team were runners-up, and our boys hockey and boys basketball teams both made it far in playoffs. So congratulations to them. I also want to congratulate our track runners who competed at nationals, and those include Erin Cardy, Avery Baumgart, Talia Bonifato, Mackenzie Cook, Haley Kavanaugh, Keen Swiss, Ty Doro, Chris Jernigan, Theo Fleischer, Henry Hagan, and Daniel Doherty. That's a really great accomplishment to compete at nationals, so I just wanted to give them that recognition. And then just to give the schedule specifics for Tona Brown, she'll be at the middle school on Thursday morning talking with faculty and students. And then Friday, high school, she'll be at the high school during the morning during our advisory and our flex session. Our high school Jedi group, along with a few people from Sus Club, are having a little Q&A session with her, and then we're going to open that up to all of the other students who are in the audience to participate, and that's open to all high school students, and a lot of advisories are just bringing their all of their students down, so that'll be really great. And then that night, she'll be with the Strings Orchestra in this room at 7 o'clock. And then the next day, Saturday, the UNH event will be at Memorial Union Building from 5:30 to 7:30. And then my last announcement is that the next coffee house will be April 4th in the high school multipurpose room, $5 at the door.
Great, thank you very much, Paige. No Finance Committee report tonight. We'll move to unanimous consent. Are there any of these items that anybody would like to separate and discuss separately? If none, then I will move that we approve the unanimous consent agenda, which includes a motion to nominate and approve the continuing contract professional staff members as submitted by the superintendent for all schools. Motion to approve the Mohara maternity leave of absence from the beginning of the 2023-24 school year through October 2023, and to accept the resignation of a high school special education teacher, a high school business teacher, and the retirement of a high school social studies teacher. A second from Denise. All those in favor of the unanimous consent agenda? 6 in favor and the student rep in favor. It's approved. All right, moving to the discussion and action items. Dr. Morse.
So as we've heard tonight many times, Sue is leaving, and in her leaving, we needed to do a search for her replacement. We had really great quality candidates. It came down to 2 excellent candidates, and in the end, I am ready to nominate Amy Ransom as our new business administrator. She'll have an opportunity to work with Sue during the spring as she is available, since she's also employed, and in the summer, in fall, she'll be able to work with Sue because we put some transition funds into the new budget. I welcome Amy to the district. She comes from large districts, small districts. She's done an amazing job in the districts she served, and I anticipate she will do an amazing job for us. So I nominate Amy Ransom to the board as our new BA.
Heather? Jim can't make a motion.
All right, so I will motion to, I don't have the wording on the sheet. All right, so I nominate Amy Ransom for the business administrator position.
We have a motion from Heather. A second from Denise. Any discussion? All those in favor? 5 in favor and the student rep in favor. Opposed? Abstentions? 1 abstention. All right. Next up is the E-rate bid. Josh.
Good evening, everyone. In your packet, you have copies of 2 bids. The first one is for internet service. It's a 3-year contract. We're currently with UNH, and so I'm proposing we continue with them. They are not the lowest bidder, but since they're not a business, they are way easier to deal with when we have problems. They've come out and helped us numerous times. We've had issues during testing, and we just call them up and say, hey, can you just bump it up a little more for us? So we've just really had a really good relationship, and they provide a level of service that is very different than what you get from a business. And so that's the first piece. I had a thought and it just escaped me. So I guess, is there any questions about the internet access? I think we've been with UNH since before I started here in 2012. So it's been a really long time relationship.
I think this is a good example of, why you don't always go to the lowest bid. The quality of service that we're getting from UNH is outstanding, and to give that up for a few $1,000s does not make a lot of sense.
Yep. The second piece is our wide area network connections. So we have fiber connections that go from Durham out to Mohermont and Mastway, and allows them to connect back to the campus here on Durham. So we have shared resources. They use the same internet connection. We can centralize services instead of having to replicate them at all the different locations. We've had this with it was with First Light, the last 5-year contract, and before that it was with another company, but First Light acquired them. So we've always had it with the same company. They are dropping the price. We're going to be down just under $1,000 a month, so that was good to see. Unfortunately, due to the cost of construction for a project like this, we didn't get a lot of other bidders, and since First Light has already provided the service, they were the only bidder that actually bid on it. So, but we've had a good relationship with them as well. So, really, I'm just looking for approval on the 2 contracts tonight.
So on the dark fiber, another bidder would have to string new fiber?
They'd either have to have it on the poles already to make it cost effective, but so 155, there's a potential, but actually getting over to Mastway, that's where I don't think there's a lot of carriers that run that way. If it was right off of 125, it probably wouldn't be bad. But even when they built this, they did have to do some build out from the circle. So they came up 4, went down 125 from the circle, and they spent a couple weeks building that out. So yeah, they'd have to invest some infrastructure costs there. So
10 years ago, we had no connection with Mastway other than a very rudimentary connection, and there was an equity issue between what we were providing Durham and Madbury and Mastway, and so we made that part of the very first infrastructure work that we did in the district.
And just to give you an idea of what like the actual build out costs, when we put in this building, we needed to run a new cable, new fiber cable from the service building to us. We couldn't get anyone to talk to us about pole permits, so we couldn't go out on Co-Drive. So we ended up running it through the swamp area with our own poles, and I believe that was about $10,000 just to go across the swamp. So to follow the roads, the main roads from here to those locations, it can be quite expensive. So part of the E-rate process is you have to evaluate us building it ourselves versus leasing it with someone else putting the light across it. And so this is the most cost effective at the end of the day.
All right. Matt?
A motion to accept the E-rate bid as recommended.
A motion from Matt, a second from Heather. Any further discussion? All those in favor? 6 in favor and the student rep in favor.
Right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. And then we've got policies.
We went back and made a couple of revisions to policy BEDH per some comments that were made at the last board meeting. So I do believe that we did capture those, kind of just move things around a little bit. And then the other policy, JJJ, there was a question about technology. And so we added a sentence about in terms of using library resources, as there are some computers that are part of the library resources, and should a homeschool student wish to check that out, just like they can check out books or so on and so forth, they would be able to do that. So I don't know if there are any questions before I make a motion for those 2 policies. If not, I will make a motion to approve policy BEDH, which is public comments at board meetings, and BEDHR, which is the procedure, and policy JJJ, which is access to public school programs by non-public charter schools and home education pupils for first read.
We have a motion from Denise and a second from Matt. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of the policies? 6 in favor and the student rep in favor. The policies are approved. All right. Are there any school board committee updates this evening? Heather.
I have an update for sustainability. Some of my thunder has been stolen by Suzanne. All right, so Sarah O'Brien is supervising a new sustainability club at Oyster River Middle School. It's open to anyone who wants to participate. Working on our goals of reducing waste. All the classrooms are composting at Moheramet, and as per what Jay said, I guess we now have implemented our proposal for having composting bins in the team spaces at the middle school. We discussed possible Earth Week activities, varying from showing the documentary Kiss the Ground, having a guest speaker come in to the middle school and high school, and potentially doing another Trash on the Lawn event. So we're working through all of those ideas still. In terms of carbon footprint, we have what Sue presented from the solar report for the middle school, and Revision Energy is coming to the middle school to do activities for 5th graders in April. Rachel Allen, Sarah O'Brien, and John Bromley are the sustainability teacher leaders. They're putting a presentation together, as Suzanne said, during building teacher meetings in early April, and the presentation focuses on way to incorporate sustainability into classrooms by highlighting activities that teachers are already doing and determining how those teacher coordinators can further support teachers. And also, as Suzanne said, we are looking at having another community dinner to celebrate Earth Day on April 13th. We're still working on programming for that dinner, so stay tuned for details. And as that's a lot of stuff that stay tuned for, our next meeting is March 30th. We'll be banging out some of that stuff then.
Other committee updates? All right. Anybody for public comment? You push the button on the mic.
Okay. Tom Newkirk, Durham. I'm sure at your last meeting you had good things to say about Michael and his work on the board, thinking that was his last meeting. But this is kind of an encore, which gives me a chance to say, Michael, I just want to thank you for your work on the board. It was great working with you when you were the assistant chair, and I admired your work as chair, the changes you made. And one of the things that just so impressed me working with you is the way you just had a natural understanding of financial issues and it reminded me that when I was a math student, we were all kind of pretty good math students at Ashland High School, but there was one guy who was really good. He knew math kind of like it was a language, like he could speak it. And I often felt like something I kind of understood, and I would come to you and you would make sense of it. And I think you've and then you had the capacity to explain that to other people. I really appreciated that. So I know you've just devoted yourself to the board. It's been time-consuming, it's been challenging, and I just think you've done a terrific job. So thank you, Michael. Oh, got all these new procedures.
Anybody else for public comment this evening? All right, closing actions. There are 2 meetings listed here, April 5th and April 19th are the next 2 meetings. The district election is on March 28th. Yeah.
So Michael, you're assuming you're not going to be at those as well?
I am not going to be at those. It doesn't matter what you do in terms of snow days. Nobody wants it to snow again, I don't think. Yeah. All right. Is there a Heather?
I motion to adjourn.
We have a motion from Heather. Second from Dan. All those in favor of adjournment? 6 in favor and the student rep in favor. We are adjourned. Good night.